In January 2025, wildfire pushed deep into the urban boundaries of Los Angeles, consuming thousands of homes. When the flames finally stopped, they left behind a massive physical vacuum across the city. The market reacted immediately to that empty space. Rents on available units jumped overnight. Eviction notices hit the mailboxes of the city's most vulnerable neighborhoods as landlords moved to capitalize on the sudden desperation for housing. Local government responses lagged months behind the immediate need. Tenants with nowhere else to go across the Los Angeles basin were left waiting for municipal relief that simply couldn't scale fast enough to cover a crisis of this magnitude. This sudden loss of housing supply intensified existing pressure on the city's poorest residents, highlighting the specific neighborhoods where the risk of displacement is highest. With institutional safety nets failing, the defense of the city defaulted to the people already living on the margins, forcing them to build their own street-level friction to survive. When the fires hit, Chelsea Kirk didn't wait for the city to act. She co-founded the Rent Brigade, a volunteer collective built specifically to scrape rental listings and trace illegal price gouging across the remaining housing supply. This mapping breakdown reveals the operation scale. The collective flagged 18,000 listings, identifying $7 million a month in illegal overcharges. They handed that evidence to the city, county, and attorney general, weaponizing the data to drive a lawsuit against 6 specific landlords. Cutting off that financial extraction at the point of rent is the mandatory first step to keep people in their homes. A few blocks away, the threat moves from temporary rent spikes to permanent structural erasure. Chris Tyler organizes tenants inside downtown's single-room occupancy hotels, the last cheap shared corridor rooms left in the urban core. These buildings are directly in the crosshairs of the impending 2028 Olympics, a hard deadline the city is using to scrub poor residents out of downtown to remake the streetscape. Working with the Los Angeles Tenants Union, Chris goes door-to-door in places like the Madison Hotel, organizing residents to demand repairs for hazardous conditions and refuse buyout offers so they can physically hold on to their rooms. Solidifying control over these physical spaces creates a hard barricade against the city's broader gentrification plans. The geographic struggle for physical space in Los Angeles reaches back through the deep history of the land itself. Jose Gama Vargas works near the historical footprint of Yanga. As seen on this map held by protesters, Yanga was a massive Tongva village that stood exactly where modern downtown Los Angeles is built today. Jose connects the displacement crisis directly to the original Gabrielino Tongva caretakers by bringing local gardeners together, building ecological solidarity right in the dirt. Reclaiming the deepest historical roots of this land forces a direct confrontation over who actually has the right to claim ownership today. Displacement also targets cultural visibility. For the communities being pushed out, retaining the power to tell their own history is a matter of survival, a front led by Seth Hernandez. A queer, undocumented organizer working in migrant justice since 2010, Seth builds audio-first films. The goal is to create access for blind viewers and immigrant communities who are routinely left completely out of the mainstream narrative. Seth deliberately shoots without a fixed lens, forcing the audience to rely entirely on sound. This technique strips the visual power away from the observer and gives it completely to the subject's voice. Securing narrative sovereignty prevents a community from being quietly erased from the city's collective memory. For 5 months this year, one institutional thread connected these disparate fronts: the UCLA Activist-in-Residence program. The program operates as a direct supply line. It gives each organizer 5 months of standing, time, and resources to push their work further, with zero academic bureaucracy, no required papers, or final report slowing them down. UCLA describes the program as turning the university inside out, utilizing the resources of the campus to support work already happening on the ground. In a crisis, a powerful institution proves its worth not by leading the charge, but by operating as the engine for the people already fighting on the ground. The residency ends. The rent fights, the land reclamation, and the battle for the story do not. Disaster recovery continues to lag. The 2028 Olympics deadline accelerates. The pressure to erase the history and the people of Los Angeles remains constant. Systemic defense against these forces never comes from municipal boardrooms. It is built entirely on the specific, localized friction created by street-level organizers. Mass displacement is a man-made machine. It requires silence and compliance to function, and it breaks down when it hits organized structural resistance. By attacking their machines simultaneously across the fronts of rent, physical housing, historical land, and community narrative, the people of Los Angeles are forcing it to a halt, holding their ground and refusing to leave.